Welcome, everybody, to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. It's so good to see all of your smiley faces. How is everybody today? Hope you're doing well, and I hope you're in store. I hope you are excited about being in store for lots of great music. That's right. We've got Seamus Kelleher. He is known as the Guitar Master. He's a singer, songwriter, musician, guitarist extraordinaire, originally from Galway, Ireland. He makes his home in Pennsylvania, USA. And he's a noted musician, and we are so excited to have him here on the show. He's all poised in his studio with guitar and other instruments at the ready, and he's going to perform live tonight. You're going to hear lots of great music, and of course, our famous, inspiring conversation sprinkled in with levity, and our famous levity here on the Jim Masters Show live. Good to have you with us. If this is your first time, this is an entertainment lifestyle talk show series we've been doing for over a year now, with over 400 episodes, 7 days a week, live, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And it's an amazing broadcast because we have interactivity with our viewers watching around the world, as well as amazing guests from all walks of life: Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and then some. And we sprinkle it in with levity and lovity as well. And I hope everybody's had a good day. We had a very busy day. It was on the air all day today. And then we got in couple of matches of tennis, which was great, and then a nice couple of laps along the coast with some colleagues and friends, and we just wrapped up dinner, and here we are. Yes, this time we ate before the show. Sometimes we get so busy with producing these shows that I don't get a chance to eat until after the show. But this time we made sure that we ate before the show. Got to change those priorities. Got to eat somehow. How's everybody doing? Let's check in with some of our lovelies around the world. Check out our new Super Chat, Super Stickers feature, which is something exciting. Your comments can be highlighted in bold colors with emojis, something new that YouTube is offering for our show. And I think it's awesome. And a lot of people have been doing that. That helps the show as well. Welcome one and all, of course, to the Jim Masters Show live. Good to have you with us, and great night of inspiring conversation and chat, Irish crack as well, and some great music coming up. Again, check out our cool new Super Chat, Super Stickers feature that YouTube is offering as well. In the chat, you can probably see it at the top of the screen. Everybody tells me I don't see it here on our end, but you guys, I guess, do, who are chatting. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Jim Masters TV. That is something that really does help us big time as well. So check that out. That's the YouTube channel you're watching right now, actually. So you hear that, you see that red button that says subscribe? Subscribe. We would love that. That really helps our show big time. And be sure and click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes and our surprise pop-up shows and everything else that we do. So much we do at this show. It's not the same old every day. Something new every day. Hello, lovelies all around the world. Of course, spread the news about our show, tell the world. And hello, Jim. And my dear friends, can I get a woo-hoo for a non-manic Monday? It's been a great day, and now it's even better because it's time for some levity. That's Maureen in fabulous Arizona. Good to see you, Maureen. And Merlin is here. Hi, Jim and all levities. Good to see you, Merlin, watching in Canada. And really, really, really nice. I love this. Woohoo. Maureen wants a woohoo. So Merlin's doing it. And Juanita in South Africa is here. She's doing the woohoo as well. The lovity woohoo instead of the lovity wave. Thank you. I love a good start to a busy week. It sets the pace. Sure does. Juanita's here. Hello, Jim and lovely squad watching in South Africa. Good to see you, Juanita. and everybody else that's watching. Sherry Larson is in the house. Good to see you, Sherry. And hope you're doing well. A marvelous Monday evening, Jim and lovely family from Ann Wozniak. Good to see you, Ann, as well. And Seamus is going to play that song that you requested, one of his originals, Ann. I'm glad that you did that because I was able to relay that to Seamus, and Seamus said, absolutely. If you don't know, Seamus is the Irish way of saying James. So technically, you have either two James with you tonight, myself and our other James, or you have two Seamuses tonight, myself and the other Seamus. Denise says, welcome, Seamus. You're now a Lovety. I told him all about the Lovety Hall, and he's excited about it. And Leslie says, welcome, Seamus, as well. And good stuff. Keep it coming, folks, throughout the show. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Happy Monday. Again, we got a good workout playing tennis today for a couple of hours, and then we had a nice run along the coast. It's beautiful here. It's about 68, 69 degrees with a coastal breeze. This weekend was brutal. It was like 90, but with a lot of humidity. But it's really, really nice here today. Again, at the time of this live broadcast, anybody who's watching this later in the archives, they're like, I'm watching this 6 months from now, Jim, and it's snowing. Or we welcome everybody that's watching this later on in the replay and the archives as well. Always a pleasure to have you here too. You're just as valuable when you watch this in the re-air archives as those, of course, who watch us live. As I mentioned, Seamus is amazing. He's a multi-talent, master storyteller, guitarist. Started his music career in his hometown of Galway, Ireland in the late 60s, where at age 15, he was opening act for major groups like Thin Lizzy. He came to America in 1975, and since then has toured across the U.S. and Europe, performing over 7,000 shows in venues such as Carnegie Hall, the Excelsior in Rome, and festivals across the United States and Europe. Most recently, he was the lead guitarist with Philadelphia's legendary Celtic rock band Blackthorn. He now performs as a solo artist traveling the United States and Ireland, and throughout his career, Seamus has another side to his story, and he's been very open and very passionate about it. He has battled depression and anxiety and an addiction to alcohol. And in his Shine the Light presentation, he uses his gift of music, humor, and an uncanny ability to engage his audience to tell a compelling story and to help people focus on their mental wellness. That's a beautiful story. We're going to share that with you tonight as well. So it's going to be inspiring as much as it is fun tonight. Seamus is also an adjunct assistant professor at Texas A&M College of Medicine, where he teaches courses on mental wellness in times of crisis. He holds a master's degree in communication and has worked as a speechwriter and communications advisor to the presidents of major organizations and Fortune 500 companies as well. And he is back on the road after the COVID lockdown forced him to cancel 150 shows in 2020, performing all over the U.S. in 2021, continuing to spread his Shine the Light message to help those who struggle with their mental wellness. And I think that's really a beautiful thing that he's doing. Let's welcome Seamus live and direct from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, where he is with his studio. Welcome, Seamus. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Jim. I've been so looking forward to this.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And as I mentioned, Lovety is a big thing here on the show. And Anne already sends welcome, Seamus from Jacksonville. Really enjoy your music and your wit. Amy welcomes you as well, and so does Juanita, and so does Maureen, who's watching in Arizona. We welcome Maureen and Crystal in Connecticut, and Amy is also here as well. She is always with us. Christine Clifton is here in North Carolina. She says hello and welcomes you, and everybody welcomes you, my friend. How have you been? And I bet you're quite excited to get back out on the road after a cancellation of some 150 scheduled shows and more, huh?
Yeah, I've been just delighted to be back. And I started back. I got an early vaccination. I got my second dose on March 1st or something like that.
Good, man.
So that was a blessing because that allowed me to kind of get back on the road for the St. Patrick's season. So I did some wonderful shows around the Pennsylvania area then. And then I went down to Florida for the month of April. And I think I did 21 shows in 22 days.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, wow. So I got a chance to dust off the cobwebs real quickly. But but I remember, I should tell you that the first show I did was near me in Newtown, a place called the Green Parrot. And it was really strange. It was the Friday before St. Patrick's Day. And it was the first show that people came out and kind of, they weren't really wearing masks once they were at their seats and stuff like that. And, they were sitting together as families. And there was something magical about it. You could just see the relief on people's faces that, I'm not saying everything was back to normal then, but there was definitely, we were heading in the right direction. And that was the beginning of a great month. And it's just every week I see that kind of people relaxing more and people coming up and being able to, people say, oh, people probably won't ever hug again. Well, let me tell you, people are hugging again.
They are. Yes.
People are shaking hands, and people are doing all the things they should be doing.
It's been long overdue, hasn't it? It's been long overdue. Yeah. It's an extraordinary thing that for like a year out of our lives, we haven't been able to be around friends and family, relatives. We haven't been able to hug, kiss, touch, dine with in over 365 plus days. Who would have ever thought we would ever have a year of our life like that? Life is short and precious enough, but to have a year where we don't get to do that, everybody is pent up. Everybody is trying to, I think, make up for the year lost as well as live this year as well.
Yeah. And, what I tell people during my talks and my motivational talks, we're incredibly resilient as human beings. And this has been a hard time, and it's been more difficult for some people. I had a lady last night at one of my shows, and she lost her husband to COVID. And I knew him very well, a really wonderful guy. And, so everybody has a different story. Some other people weren't impacted by it too much, and, but, I have empathy for whatever people went through. And, but we are resilient, and we, as that song I'm going to do for you shortly says, we're all in this together, and we're going to come out of this just fine.
How did you first get started in music in the early years? I always tend to ask, especially when we have guests that are from Ireland, because I've always been told that when you are born and raised in Ireland, early on, almost as soon as you come out of the womb, you're handed either a fiddle or a guitar or a penny whistle or something, or you're singing. It's very much, music is very much part of the culture. For you as a youth, was that the case? Was music around you and influenced you, inspired you within the family?
Oh, absolutely, Jim. I started playing the penny whistle at 9 years of age. Wow. And probably even a little bit less than that. And then I started playing the piano as well. And reluctantly, by the way. And but I did. And I used to play in school. We used to play in these played these traditional tunes, probably 20, 30 of us playing the penny whistles and all that. And then I continued to kind of improve my skills in the piano. And, but everywhere you went, there was music. In Ireland, if you went to Ireland, Jim, have you been to Ireland, Jim?
Yes, and I was supposed to go back last year for a television shoot project, and also to Texas and to Florida. But because of the planes being grounded and the lockdowns and everything, we weren't able to go for that. So that's been rescheduled. They're working on the scheduling of that. But it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, but one of the things I was getting at is that when people have a party, that let's say they have Jim Masters, the American superstar, coming over, and they're going to have a party for you. Well, everybody at that party would be expecting.
Have you heard anything that I haven't been made aware of yet?
Trust me, I'm doing the groundwork for you.
I've been hearing inklings. All the people I've interviewed from Ireland are like, Jim, if you come over here, get ready. You have to book a couple of weeks just to recover.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, you have this party, and then everybody would be expected to sing a song, tell a story, tell a joke. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is, but it's part of the thing that people do in Ireland, and they still do it, which is great. Yeah. Even with all the TV, even with all these phones, even with everything that we do, all the social media, that if you go to a party and you just start going around, they'll go from one to the other, and you do your party piece. And that's how it started for me, singing a song, And then when I started playing the guitar when I was 14, that's when everything came together. And those piano years that I hated, all of a sudden helped me become a decent guitar player much quicker than I would have otherwise, you know.
I know what you mean as far as going from party to party, because I marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade down Fifth Avenue a couple of years ago in New York City. And as soon as the parade ended, that's exactly what they do.
Yeah. We like to.
You go to celebrate.
Yeah, we like to celebrate, and we like to socialize, and it's
Yes, yeah.
and, you know, people talk about Irish people being drinkers and all that, and we you know, we do like to drink, but we're not by statistically, we're not anywhere near the top drinkers in the world. But what we like to do is go to the pubs and socialize together, and
tell a good long joke, and
and just storytelling.
Yes.
And that's been particularly hard for the Irish people, because that is their outlet. They'd rather do that than watch TV or anything else.
Tell stories. And
for the past year, the pubs are still closed. They're opening outdoor dining pubs in a few weeks, but then it'll probably be July or August before they're fully open. So that's hard for people. And you say, well, and like I said, it's not about the drink. They can get the drink anywhere. It's that social interaction that people are really missing.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's coming back.
But it's coming back, absolutely. And the joke telling and the good times and sláinte left and right.
That's right.
So you had those early inspirations in your youth, and how did you sort of grasp them and make this a career as you were going along early on for you, growing up in Galway, right?
Yeah, I was very lucky. So at 14, I started playing guitar. I'd say within about 3 months, I knew I'd be doing this for the rest of my life. So it was really fantastic. I came from a seaside resort, right? So just outside, 2 miles from Galway City. And there was always great bands coming through. So I got to see bands that if I didn't live there, I would never have seen every night of the week. So I go out and sit. I get to know the doorman. They'd let me in for free. This tiny little teenager, 110 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
I'd sit at the side of the stage and just be mesmerized by these amazing musicians. And they were wonderful. And I'd often just go to them and I say, how did you do this? And they'd show me, people, the really good players like to help people. And that's what I did. And then I started practicing, I'd say, especially after about 6 months, I rarely practiced less than 6 or 7 hours a day. As Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours. I had that done by the time I was 16.
Wow. Wow.
And I loved it. But, I kind of, the downside, it kind of isolated me a bit from everybody because that's all I did.
Yeah.
But the good side, that's when, I think most of the skills that I have as a guitar player, I formed in those early few years, And my parents were incredibly supportive, my mom and dad. My mom made all my stage clothes, and my dad made my first amplifier. So I was just very blessed.
Yes, very much so, huh?
Yeah, because at that time in Ireland, we're talking about 1975, Jim, and being a rock and roll guitar player, was kind of a little bit, to use a 60s word, it was a bit far out, And, I have to, I remember my mom sitting me down when I was for my 16th birthday, and she said, Seamus, what do you want to do for the rest of your, for your career type of thing, not for the rest of your life, but for what do you want to start doing after school? And without any hesitancy, I said, I'm going to be a professional musician. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, that's a hard career choice.
Yeah.
She said, I had my tea leaves. She had a fortune teller reader tea leaves several years earlier. And the lady said, you're going to have a son and his name is going to be in lights. So she said, I always knew you were going to do something. But anyway, but it wasn't over. She talked to my dad that night, because you never really talk to your dad about things like that. All the communication was done through the mom. And she talked to him. I could hear them in the room next to me, but I couldn't hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
But the next day we sat down for the cup of tea after school, which we always did. And I was just waiting. And she said, okay, here's the deal. Said, we don't have a lot of money, but we're going to support you 100%. The only requirement is that you have to finish high school.
Yeah.
And you have to graduate. We don't expect you to go to college right now. We hope you do someday. And that was it, you know. And that was the deal. And I held up my part of the bargain, which was a struggle, because getting through high school and still playing, whatever, 6-7 hours guitar a day proved to be a bit of a challenge, but I did. And, you know, and then as it kind of my resume says, I did go back to college. I started back when I was 25. I had a bit of a break in the music action, and I did. And you know, that was I brought my dad out for my graduation. My mom had passed by then. So he was very proud that finally I had done that.
That's beautiful. He got a chance to see some of that happening, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not always the case. Did you know whether it was going to be acoustic or electric, or did you love it all? Anything to do with the guitar? Because you are considered the guitar master. I'm the Jim Masters, and you're the guitar master.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think I just had a love for the instrument.
Yeah. And
definitely I would have started out, I think even still, a lot of people focus on my electric skills, you know?
Yeah.
But then really my acoustic guitar playing, it's kind of relatively recent in the last 16 years, I'd say, you know, inspired by a guy called Tommy Emmanuel, which a lot of your listeners would know. He's from Australia, considered to be the greatest guitar player in the world, acoustic guitar player. And I just saw him 2 nights ago in Bethlehem, but he's back on the road. But Tommy, just, you know, he does all this finger picking stuff. Let me just give you a quick kind of taste of it.
Sure.
Can you hear that okay?
Oh, Jim? Very nice. Yeah.
So finger picking is like, let me make sure that you can see my fingers in the camera here.
Yeah.
When you use these 3 fingers to kind of bring out the melody, and you use this finger to kind of play the bass, I'll show you. That's the bass. Here's the fingers now. So that was Tommy Emmanuel was the guy that kind of got me hooked on the acoustic. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So what that allowed me to do is play the acoustic and then add in the electric as well. You know, I do some looping, which I'll do for you in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Would you say you're a multi-instrumentalist, playing more than one instrument?
Yeah, I definitely. I play the piano.
I see a keyboard. Is that a keyboard right there in front of you there?
Yeah, this is a synthesizer. So
right.
I do all my kind of sounds with that. And I play mandolin. Not as well as I play the guitar, but it's I like to mess around with different instruments, but mainly piano, acoustic guitar, and electric guitar. That's kind of my dance, you know.
That's the dance. So what were some of those, you know, as you go along, there's these fantastic opportunities that happen, doors that open up for you. For you, what would you consider like maybe a pivotal moment in Ireland where, you know, people started paying heed to your talent and to your skill and personality and the whole thing?
Yeah, I think I opened up for Thin Lizzy. I think it was 16. And that was when Thin Lizzy were just breaking into the big time. It was before their number 2 hit in England, Whiskey in the Jar.
Yes.
It was only about 3 months before that. But everybody was talking about them. So, you know, it was really cool because they were a 3-piece at the band. And for your listeners that don't know Thin Lizzy, they were this amazing kind of heavy metal band, I guess you'd want, but we call them a rock band. And Phil Lynott the lead singer was about 6'2", and he was, I think, born in England, but he had a Dublin accent, and wonderful singer and just amazing. And he was probably there was one of 2 black bass players in Ireland, Phil Lynott And my bass player happened to be black as well. His family was from Trinidad. So it was amazing. My band was a three-piece, and Thin Lizzy was a three-piece. And for some reason, we got offered an opening slot. So here you have the two only black bass players in Ireland on sharing the same stage. And my guy idolized Phil Lynott, and they were a good bit older than us at the time, and they treated us like royalty. So, Jim, you were asking what was a pivotal moment. That was it.
That was it.
He just, like Phil, and not just Phil, but the guitar player and the drummer, treated us like royalty. We were just little kids. I'm sure they just wanted to kind of do their thing. But they told us we could use their guitars, their equipment, whatever we wanted. So that was very special, you know?
Yeah. So you knew that you were in the thick of it. You really wanted to pursue this as a career, huh?
Yeah. No, there was no turning back. And there was another guitar player, Rory Gallagher, which a lot of your listeners would know. And Rory was just like an extraordinary guitar player. And Rory, same thing. I met him one night after a show, and he said, I was asking him how to practice. And he said, just you have to put in the hours. You got to find the people that you like to listen to, and you got to learn the skills. That's it, So I had encouragement from every side of it. And all my friends, they knew I was a bit different. I danced to my own drum. So it was, I was very lucky. I look back on it now and I realize how fortunate I was.
Yes, very, very. And that's a beautiful thing to look back and be able to, I mean, even just thinking about it gets you all choked up, huh?
In addition to a cold, I've been
in addition to the cold, we Irish, anytime there's an opportunity for a line, you just go right in.
You gotta go for it.
My mind always thinks there's always like a humorous sort of bent to it. So I'm always thinking of reacting to whatever's going on with some levity of some sort to lighten every situation on the planet.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you something.
So you hit that perfectly. You're a great straight man.
But you hit on it so well. If somebody said to me, because I've had a kind of a bit of a crazy life with dealing with the depression, anxiety at a very early age, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. But I've had a crazy life. I've played all over 7,000 shows.
7,000 shows, Carnegie Hall, the Excelsior in Rome. I mean, unbelievable.
But, peppered in with some of the other stuff, the not so good stuff. And, but the one thing that's really kept me going is a sense of humor. I get up at the end of the day, I always have a laugh. A few years ago, I got booked to do this big show in New Jersey. It was a horse show, and they told me it was going to be awesome. I'd be in the special area and all that. I went down to this place, and I'm not joking. There was a tiny little tent that just kind of covered me, right?
Yeah. And
there was 4 bales of hay in front of the tent, and that was my venue for the day. And I'll never forget. And I thought it was maybe just a staging area or getting me ready to practice or something like that.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "No, this is it." And so I did a 4-hour show, and I had horses walking by, sheep, goats, and some people. And but you know what? I just laughed, and I gave it my very best. For the people who were there, I put on my very best show. But if I didn't have the sense of humor, I would have kind of gone into another depression. But that doesn't happen because I just take it as a fault.
I thought that you were going to say that when you saw those 4 bales of hay that you were going to call a friend to sort of bail you out.
That's what I felt like, Jim. That's what I felt like. But it's
Marty Thompson's here. Thank you, Marty. He did our super chat. Thank you very much. Tommy Emmanuel is an Aussie. Marty Thompson is called the Aussie Crooner. He's a brilliant entertainer. He's going to be coming on as a guest. He goes, Tommy Emmanuel is an Aussie. He lives in Nashville. Marty opened up for him in Sydney, Australia. He's asking, have you met Tommy? Can't wait to hear more of your picking along the way. You ever get a chance to meet Tommy? Marty obviously opened up for him, that's exciting. And thanks, Marty, again for the super chat there. We love it.
Yeah, thanks, Marty. I've been very fortunate because when I met Tommy about, I guess, 16 years ago for the first time, he was still just he was huge in Australia, but he was still just breaking into the US. So he used to play much smaller venues. and he used to do these wonderful workshops. And I think I attended 10 workshops in total. So I got to know him very well through a mutual friend. And then I must have gone through 30 or 40 shows. So now, whenever I go to see him, I go backstage and we connect. And especially this time, last Thursday in Bethlehem, we had a lovely chat, because sometimes, as he's gotten bigger and bigger, it's a cast of thousands. But it was just him and I. It was just him and I after the show, and we just had a very, he knows about the work I do with mental health and all that. And the last thing he said to me, he said, "Seamus, keep doing this. This is very important," because Tommy has struggled himself over the years. And so he's been a great mentor and a great support to me. So yes, I've met him, and seeing him last Thursday just kind of said to me, okay, this darn thing is over. The COVID thing is over. Because if Tommy Emmanuel is back on stage, the world is all good.
The world is all good. Absolutely. You, has music been a comfort, a source of comfort and help as well for you along the way, sort of a place to escape? As demanding as the industry is, and all of these industries that we are in are, striving for perfection and excellence, and always having to be out there and putting yourself out there, and all of the, the sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears, all the things that it takes to, make any sort of dent or inroads. Is it still a source of comfort and release for you? Sort of your go-to zen when the world's getting a little nutty, you go to the music and start writing, playing, creating?
I couldn't say it better. That's exactly what it is. And it hasn't changed. And I just turned 67 2 weeks ago. And,
happy birthday.
Thank you. And I would say I'm enjoying the music definitely as much, if not more, than I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And, I'm back on the road doing all these shows, but I keep kind of trying to find new ways of doing it, new ways of different new techniques. I practice every day, at least an hour. I'm like a kid in looking at new toys, new guitars, new pedals, new ways of doing it. And, it's such a gift. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do without it. I'm sure I'd figure out something, but it's just my, it's my soul, it's my DNA. And I was really only off the road for about 3 or 4 months, because last summer I got to do some outdoor socially distant shows.
Yeah.
But I think it was December, January, and February. I decided I'd go off the road because it was just getting too weird out there.
Yeah.
And it really brought it home. It was a good thing for me.
Yeah.
Because it really brought it home to me how what a gift I've been given. And I don't think I ever took it for granted. But when you're doing 200 shows a year, sometimes you kind of you go in autopilot maybe. And but that doesn't happen again. I tell you something. I wasn't complaining about lifting the amplifiers back into the car and going out. I was very happy to do it. And
Ian says, "Up the Guitar Master."
Yeah,
that's great. I have to explain that for the rest of the audience that's not from Ireland. That's like a thumbs up. That's like a positive. I learned that when I was marching in the Thanksgiving, in the St. Patrick's Day parade, when I was invited by friends who were representing County Cork, and we were marching along, and everybody was cheering and smiling, and there was thousands of people lining the streets. This is, I think, 2018. We did it in New York City, and it was fantastic. And I hadn't marched in that parade in years, in school band and different things. Air Force ROTC, which I did as well in school. So we marched in those different parades then. But it was funny because that reminds me of what happened when we were marching. I'm marching along and I'm waving and everybody's happy. And it was a beautiful day, sunny day, and, beautiful non-cold day in March, St. Patrick's Day. And we're marching with the County Cork contingent after going to St. Patrick's Cathedral and having the Irish breakfast in the morning and going to the Irish consulate and all of those different wonderful things you do. And I couldn't make out what I heard people saying because there was so much activity and marching and bands and, you know, ruckus and sound and passion and enthusiasm. But I did see people sort of going, you know, like this, but they were saying up something, and I wasn't familiar with it. So I said to my friends, I said, you know, we are here in New York, and they, you know, can be very expressive and passionate. I said, they're not by any chance waving to us. I mean, the kids, the grandmothers, everybody, they're not saying up yours, are they? Are they going up yours, up yours? And then I'm smiling back and waving and saying, you too, to the kids, the grandmothers, and everybody else. And they said, wait a minute, Jim, is that what you think that they're saying? I said, I can't tell. All I'm hearing is up, or sound. And I said, that's not what they're saying. They're saying up Cork, up Cork.
That's right. That's right.
Celebrating Cork and, you know, thumbs up Cork. So I learned that expression not until I marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade, if I can say it, in New York City just a couple of years ago. Now, when somebody says up the guitar master, I know what that means.
Yeah, it's a compliment. It's a
It's a
compliment.
compliment.
Yeah.
So they were giving us compliments.
Yeah.
So next time I hear it, when I say you too, I'll know that we're saying the right thing. So that's fantastic. How did the guitar master? I know you're very humble about it, but I've heard other people refer to you as that as well. How did that come along? How did that title come along?
Yeah, I guess just you know, focusing on the instrument, you know, be it acoustic or electric. It's you know, it's just in my DNA at this stage, you know, and I've developed a skill. I think, you know, what differentiates me from some others is that I do an incredibly broad set of kind of styles. You know, I do some of the, like I said, you know, that kind of thing. I also do some classical. You know, that type of thing. And then I'll do the, you know. I woke up in the morning, believe I dust my blues. Oh, I woke up in the morning, believe I dust my blues. I wire up my baby, I ain't got nothing to lose. Oh, I'm gonna holler at 'em, believe I got a turbo strain. Oh, I'm gonna holler at 'em, believe I got a turbo strain. I wire up my baby, tell her just right.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I love that at the end. That's very that's very definitive.
Yeah.
That's not a period, that's an exclamation point.
But Jim, getting back to your thing, I think it's just that, you know, I embrace the different styles and I throw myself all in. There's no halfway. And a body of work, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's a compliment when I hear people saying master, but you know, I kind of reserve that for other people myself, but I'm honored that people even consider me for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you want to play one of your own
Yeah,
originals for the audience?
I certainly will. I'll do the song that just give me 1 second there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, my headphone came out. its members requested, it's that we're all in this together.
Yes, Ann Wozniak from Jacksonville, Florida, made a request for that song. We're all in this together. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, preface it a little bit?
Yeah, this is a great story, by the way. About, I'd say 2 weeks into COVID, we were, if I remember correctly, the 14th of March is when I got shut down in the music. So let's say maybe 2 Fridays after that, people were like freaking out, right? You could just, I could see in the neighborhood, neighborhood, people were walking like the other side of the street. And, we have a wonderful neighborhood. We all know each other and all that kind of stuff. And we're on a kind of a 4 corners type of thing. And so people were like, you could see the fear in their faces and all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, one Friday afternoon, I just, I had a small little amplifier and I took it out onto my porch and my microphone, and I started just singing songs, right? And I kind of did it for myself because I just, like you just asked me, Jim, what do I do when that's my go-to, that's my space, safe space. So I needed to do it for myself. But I also, and my wife, Mary Pat, said, said the neighbors might enjoy hearing a few songs. So we went out and the neighbors came out of their houses, right? Loads of them, right? But they'd kind of disappeared after a few minutes. So I thought it was like, geez, could that be that bad? And then they came back with chairs, right? And within about a half an hour, there was about 25, 30 people, all socially distancing. And it was one of the most special evenings of my life. I'm not joking when I say that. And so I did it again. I think I did it twice again after that, 2 weeks later and stuff like that. But then we got shut down because of the lockdown. And people said that it really had helped them in those really dark days.
Yes.
And they said, would I continue doing it online? So I did for about 3 months. Every Friday, I think about every other Friday, I think it was, I did what we called it Porch Fest. And that's how this song came about. And last Christmas, I had people come to my house and dropping stuff off and, stuff like that. And I said, somebody dropped off a fruit basket or something like that. And I said, or chocolate. And I said, what's this for? And they said, you really helped us through some of the darkest times. And so, if music can do that, isn't that a wonderful thing?
It absolutely is. Yeah, absolutely.
And if it only helped one person, but I think it helped a lot. I know it helped me. So anyway, the song is called "We're All in This Together,"
and we sure are. Yeah.
Hopefully, this is nice and clear, right? It's not distorting your end.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Monday morning when I woke up, the news was very bad. Life had changed, rearranged. We lost everything we had. Wednesday afternoon, my town was empty. Everyone had gone. We all looked at each other. We wondered for how long. We are all in this together, and we will be just fine. We survived the stormy weather. Yes, you and I, we'll be just fine. Friday afternoon, I played music from my porch just for my friends. I saw sad faces filled with fear. Will this ever end? We started singing songs together. the sadness turned to smiles. They streamed the music from their phones. The smiles went on for miles, miles and miles. We are all in this together, and we will be just fine. We'll survive the stormy weather. Yes, you and I, we'll be just fine. When the darkness clouds the sky, when the teardrops fill your eyes, we will rise. We will rise. We are all in this together, and we will be just fine. We survive the stormy weather. Yes, you and I, we'll be just fine. You and I, we'll be just fine. We'll be just fine.
I tell you, you know, the timing of that could not have been more appropriate and more perfect than now. What's been the response to that? I would imagine people are like, it really hits home in a way that's extremely deep, considering everything that we've all been through individually and collectively around the world, huh?
Yeah, the response has been tremendous. It's, you know, one of the things I've noticed, Jim, and especially last weekend when I had 3 shows over the weekend.
Yeah.
And a very common question, and it's kind of weird. People say, how was your COVID? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like we've all had our individual COVID experience, which is true, right?
Yeah, it's like, how was your Christmas? Now it's how was your COVID?
How was your COVID? And then people will go off and, you know, say, you know, it was great. It didn't really affect me. Or people say it was awful. You know, I lost everything. And, you know, you have the whole gamut. And, but I don't think there's anybody I've talked to that would say, oh, it didn't bother me at all. And if they did, they're probably lying.
Yeah.
And I think what this song does, it just allows people to kind of reflect kind of what I brought up a few minutes ago on the resiliency that we had. If you think back, Jim, to last May, where we were
1 year ago. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you woke up every morning just not sure what was next. You know, we didn't know would it be 4 or 5 years before they had a vaccine. We didn't know what to. So I know myself that some days were really dark, you know, and I was really worried I'd go down the rabbit hole again with the depression and all that. But so I think that it allows people to reflect on that time and then how far we've come, you know, and we're only, you know, we're just getting into the good times.
Right.
And so I think the song is kind of just something that allows people to kind of pinpoint that moment maybe for themselves and kind of ask themselves, you know, how do we get through this? What do we do and look forward? Because, you know, this is not something we should just, people say, oh, we should put it behind us. We should in many ways. But like anything, put it behind you, but take the lessons that were learned.
Teachable moments, right? We talk about that. Yeah. There's been a lot of teachable moments. It's too big, too deep to just let it pass as just a health situation that occurred. This was something else that was life-changing in many different ways for all of us.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the few events that no matter where you were in the world, you were feeling what, you know, the emotions we just talked about a few minutes ago, that sadness, the intrepidation, the despair, you know, that like whether you're in India, whether you're in Pakistan, whether you're in England, Ireland, you know, anywhere around the world, Australia, you know, New Zealand, like, and people say, well, even in New Zealand, they were fine, you know, they didn't have COVID there because they were able to lock down. they still had the fears what was going to happen, because they knew that if it started there, they were in trouble. And so right around the world, people had, like I said, had different experiences. But it's important that we learn from it, as individuals and as a society, and societies.
Absolutely. We actually have a video here. We've got a wonderful clip, and and now this one here is 4 Cups of Coffee. You want to tell us about this one?
Yeah, this is the title of my first album.
Congratulations, too.
It's my first solo album, yeah.
And to get through the album, you needed 4 cups of coffee each day, probably, to make it, right?
Yeah, but when I wrote that song, I was a little bit fond of the Jameson whiskey as well.
Yeah.
So so the song was kind of, when I was interviewed afterwards, somebody asked me, is the song autobiographical? And because it talks about whiskey and this guy who is kind of going a downward spiral. Yeah. And initially I said no. Yeah. And then I actually stopped the interviewer and I said, can I give you a second answer to that question?
Yeah.
I said, it really is about me, because I was like a guy, I knew I had a problem then. This is a long time. I've only been sober 7 years ago. But this
Congratulations on that. That's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that afterwards, because this was written before I got sober and performed before I got sober. And I was drinking an awful lot, and I was kind of slowly meeting my demise, I think.
And all tied to the anxiety and the depression and not feeling satisfied or fulfilled in areas of your life, you think?
Yeah, just not having and not having a balance. I was just all over the place as in my mental state. So I'll talk more about that in a second. But it's a fun. I still do the song, and it's a lot of fun. So,
all right, let's take a look. 4 Cups of Coffee, folks, coming up right now with our great guest, Seamus Kelleher. Enjoy.
Four cups of coffee, 3 shots of gin, 2 Irish whiskeys, got to see the ship I'm in. Hey, bartender, don't give me any more. Can't you see the devil? He's knocking at my door. Saying, hey, 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 hey. I went to a doctor looking for advice. You want to see another, you're better think twice. Hey, now, doctor, that's not very cool. You wouldn't be this way if you weren't such a fool. I said, hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Take 4 cups of coffee, 3 shots of gin, 2 Irish whiskeys, got to see the ship I'm in. Hey, bartender, don't give me any more. Got to see the devil, he's knocking at my door. Hey, baby, I'm going down. One more time, I'm gonna hit this sound. Hey, baby, I'm going down. One more time, I'm gonna hit this sound. I said, yeah. I called up my mama, she said that's a shame. I looked at them and seen, but I got a bingo game. What about my paw? She said you must be crazy. That son of the bitch is just too damn lazy. Hey baby, I'm going down. One more time, I'm gonna hit this sound. Hey baby, I'm going down. One more time, I'm gonna hit this sound. I said yeah. Lord, I'm all alone. I don't know where I'm going. Can you come with me? So I can see. Yeah, yeah, I say yeah. 4 cups of coffee, 3 shots of gin, 2 Irish whiskeys, got to see the shape I'm in. Hey bartender, don't give me any more. Can't you see the devil? He's knocking at my door. Someone find a doctor, send him to my room. There's a problem with my heart that's going boom, boom, boom. Someone find a doctor, send him to my room. There's a problem with my heart that's going boom, boom, boom. Thank you. thanks so much. That's title track from my album.
Very nice. That's really cool. That is really cool. Where was that filmed?
That was up in Bethlehem. There's a place called the Red Stag Whiskey Pub up in Bethlehem.
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania?
Yeah. And I play there a lot.
Look what Jen Berry says, who lives in sort of that region, the Allentown area. She goes, that looks like me Irish pub in Bethlehem.
That's right. Yeah.
Slancha.
You got it, Jen.
She goes, I go to that Irish pub, Slancha.
Yeah,
Jen. Yeah. She always gets her tambourine out and other instruments and plays along with the guests if they happen to be a musical guest as well. That is very, very cool. So that song, like you said, has a lot of deep meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it's right around the album came out, I think, on a Monday, and the following week, I was doing a show. The following weekend, I think it was, I was doing a show in Philadelphia, and after the concert, I went to a pub, and I fell down 2 flights of stairs after drinking excessively. And
you're lucky to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't be here in some ways. And I had, I've got an idea. Can I take just 2 minutes, Jim?
Yeah.
I have a book coming out.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
And I'm just going to read you. I was looking at this earlier. I thought it might be interesting to do. Just going to read the intro to the book, because it tells the story about what happened.
Absolutely.
So I'll keep it short. I'm not going to read the whole book. Don't worry.
Yeah, no. You want them to get it too. Yeah.
So this is the opening of the book. The book is called "Shine the Light," and it'll be out next in about another month and a half.
Congratulations too.
Yeah, here we go. Sir, you've been in a bad accident and sustained a serious head injury. You're on a medevac helicopter on your way to the University of Pennsylvania Trauma Center. All I could see were the bright lights mounted on the helmets of the medical team. I was convinced these were the proverbial lights that you see in the afterlife. The noise of the rotors was deafening, and the steady shaking of the chopper was like a roller coaster. I knew I was in trouble and asked the medics if anybody else was hurt. They told me no, but I had taken a bad flight down 2 flights of cement stairs at Kildare's Bar in Valleyforge, PA. I said, tell my wife, Mary Pat, I wasn't driving my car. When I asked if it was going to be okay, they said, we are doing everything we can for you. Stay with us, sir, and answer our questions as best you can. It was June 2nd, 2007. I'd been living on the edge of a cliff for many years prior to the accident, and finally I'd slipped off, literally and figuratively. A lethal cocktail of alcohol abuse, a stressful corporate job, the worry of being an older dad to 4 children under the age of 10, living the life of a musician playing 90 shows a year with a successful Celtic rock band, teaching a media course at New York University, and recording my first solo album had taken its toll. My drinking partners that night were Bill and Melissa. Bill was a volunteer firefighter, and his girlfriend Melissa, a dental technician. After the fall, she immediately noticed the blood pouring from the side of my head and insisted that I wasn't moved. Bill had an ambulance and police at the bar within minutes. Kildare's was less than a mile from Lockheed Martin, the defense contractor. Lockheed had a helipad, making it possible to immediately call a medevac helicopter to transport me to UPenn Trauma Center. Within an hour of the fall, I was being operated on. I lost a lot of blood and began getting transfusions, but the biggest problem was the bleeding on the brain, and they couldn't stop it. I have only vague memories of that first 24 hours in the intensive care unit. The staff woke me every few hours to make sure the brain was still functioning. Wires were hooked up to every part of my body. The staff were honest and told me that it was a waiting game. My job was to answer the litany of questions. Where are you? What's your name? Your date of birth? What city are you in? It became an endless repetition day and night as I listened to the low hum of the large machines in the room and the steady beeps from the wall of monitors. I just hoped that the beeping wouldn't stop. Thanks to the quick action of Bill and Melissa on that fateful night, the miracle workers at UPenn, and my wife, Mary Pat, who nursed me back to health, I survived the ordeal. Over the course of the next several months, I made a miraculous recovery and was back on stage. The recovery period left me plenty of time to reflect on my life, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly.
That is very poignant and very moving and very open as well. Was there any hesitancy to sharing your story at all, or did you know that it was something that you had to do, maybe to encourage others who might be going through a similar struggle in their life?
So it's a great question, Jim, because this was 2007. The book was I started writing the book kind of as a way to show my kids the life I had. Because, I was, for 24 hours, I didn't know if I was going to make it. So I figured, I should tell them a little bit of who I am when they get older, right? That have something to refer to. So that was the initial thing. It was going to be a book about my musical experiences, not about mental health or anything like that. But as I started writing it, this kind of train of mental health came through: the depression, the anxiety, and the drinking. And initially, I was just talking about the drinking like a fun thing, but there was so much of it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't finish the book, Jim. I couldn't finish it. And I had most of it done, right? Because I knew if I finished it, I'd have to admit I was an alcoholic. And after that fall in 2007, I didn't take a drink for 6 months. The neurosurgeon said, "You're incredibly lucky." He said, "You're unbelievable lucky." He said, "You shouldn't ever drink again." And 6 months later, I started drinking again. And I'll never know why. I thought I could control it. I thought I could have a few drinks, out with my wife or with my friends. But, gradually got back into the Jameson and my bad habits. And so I put the book aside, and I only started not rewriting it, but finishing it during COVID. So it's kind of a gift. It was COVID's gift to me.
COVID has been a blessing in some strange way. Isn't that amazing how that worked out?
Yeah, and it allowed me to, because I am sober now, it allowed me to talk about my sobriety. And I think over the last 6 years, even before the book, I've been, writing articles about mental health, mental wellness, and all this. And so I've been an advocate. But then I said, so how can I put this all together? And I said, I love to write speeches. I love to give speeches. I love to talk in front of people. I love to actually physically write. So I said, let me put it together in a book form. And so I'm hoping that it's going to help people who struggle. I had my first bout of depression when I was 20, Jim. I was with a very well-known rock and roll band in Ireland. I had everything a teenager could have asked for. I was on a salary, right? That was on par with my dad's salary, probably even more cash. Every week I was getting a salary. Unheard of for in Ireland back in that day. Unheard of for a young 19-year-old. And sadly, my mom passed. She was only 54 in 1974. And we were just poised. We were traveling all over Ireland. We were in the papers. We had a record at. And we were doing really well, playing to about 1,000 people, 2,000 people every night. And anyway, I had, long story longer, I had a nervous breakdown. I was on stage one night. I came off. It had been coming on for a while. I was being
the
very
loss
sad.
of your mother probably just triggered and added greatly to that.
Exactly, Jim. The loss of my mother. I had a very abusive school system. Ireland was on the verge of civil war at the time with the troubles in the north of Ireland. So a lot of things conspired. And then I think triggered by, as you just said, with my mom's passing. And I ended up in psychiatric hospital for 5 weeks, And so people say to me, that must have been so hard, and it was, right? I was with this super band, incredible band. I had everything. I really had it all. Most people would just say, they would have envied me. I'm sure all my friends thought, this kid is living the dream, right? But they didn't see what was going on deep down inside of me. And but anyway,
how did the band handle it when you had to step away at that point so you can get healthy again?
They were incredibly supportive, and so here's what happened briefly. When I came back from, they took me back in the back of a van after the nervous breakdown. I was sedated, and the doctor said, you got to get this guy to hospital. So my dad said to me, he said, Seamus, in the kitchen, he said, Seamus, he said, I don't think a regular hospital is going to do it for you. He said, you've been very nervous for the last few years. And he said, I think you need to go somewhere where they know the nerves. And this is a man in Ireland in 1974.
Yeah,
I wish you could understand the Ireland of then. People didn't think that way.
Or talk about it or be open about it.
Yeah.
Right?
He was
stiff upper lip. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just extraordinary. And he said, Seamus, he said, I think you need to go to St. Pat's in Dublin, which was a psychiatric hospital. We just called it the Nut House at the time, euphemistically as kids. But I said, Dad, I said, if we don't do something real soon, I may not be here next week. And the next day we got in the car and I got the help I needed. So it was really difficult. I went through a very difficult time in hospital. But the only reason I'm talking to you today is because I got help when I needed it. And so my message is in all of my writing, it's in a lot of my music, it's in a lot of my songs, is if you're struggling from depression, anxiety, and other forms of mental illness, but these are the two I'm most familiar with, and addiction, obviously. Just don't be afraid to ask for help, And people say, yeah, but, I don't want people to see me as weak. I don't want people to see me as, not being able to handle it. I have a good job. I have this, I have that, and the other. And it's the saddest thing. We lose so many people each year. We lost 47,000 people, over 47,000 people last year or in 2019 because of suicide. And you know what, Jim? By us just reaching out to people who are struggling, we could cut that number in half. We could cut that number almost down to zero. There's amazing help out there, but people have to ask for help. And then we have to be willing. We got to take the stigma out of mental illness. Talk about it like, if I have a dislocated shoulder, everybody sees it and they say, oh, Seamus, I'll lift your amplifiers for you. I'll do everything for you. They take care of me. But if I walk out in the street and, with severe depression on the verge of suicide, nobody sees it, Jen, and people don't know what to do. But what we all can do is look out for the warning signs. If you see somebody that's sad, if they're changing their behavior, if they're selling off some of their prized possessions, if they're self-loathing, if they don't get any joy, if you don't see me enjoying guitar, if you don't see me smiling when I'm doing this, call a doctor, because that's what I love to do.
Yeah,
that's what I love to do. And
some people, they also retreat. They don't communicate. They don't get involved with people in society. They don't go to events anymore, and you're not hearing from them as they are becoming reclusive, which can really add to it, because then that loneliness just exacerbates. And with what we've had with the pandemic, a lot of people have experienced that, with the lack of the connection, the lack of the hugging, the lack of being able to, see people and get all of that support in the way that you would want, because we haven't been able to get together. Now we're starting to be able to, but there's been a lot of residual effect with children and mental health, and seniors who've been alone, and just people in general who might even be people who are generally social, and now they had to completely stop, or people who are not so social who slipped even deeper into an antisocial way of thinking. So we talk about the flip of the switch. Everything's open. Okay, you can go to the amusement park, the restaurants. There's still an adjustment period of what we've gone through. There's still almost like dipping your feet back in slowly and testing the water again. It's almost like a rebirth that's happened here or something.
It is, and there's a lot of good stuff. That, you know, the bad thing is that a lot of people who never struggled with depression and anxiety experienced it during the COVID. The good part about it is because the media did pay a lot of attention to it, kind of almost they kind of did it. What I'm really trying to do is normalize the conversation. You know, if you see somebody in crisis, talk to them. There's nothing you are going to say that's going to make their situation worse. But more than likely, by picking up the phone, saying, look, I know you're not feeling well. I know I've seen a change in you. There's help available. Let's go see a psychiatrist or a crisis center. Do you know what? You can save a life. We all have the power to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And if I can just say, during this COVID thing, I had the honor of being a co-founder with 8 other board members of the Suicide Prevention Alliance. And it's called the website is suicidepreventionalliance.org. And it was really the genesis from this is a wonderful human being called Govan Martin. And he lost his brother to suicide many years ago. And he's a former state trooper in PA. And what this man does is just extraordinary. And he brought a bunch of us misfits together to form this organization. And anybody that's struggling, I encourage you, go on the site, suicidepreventionalliance.org. I was just on it before I came on here, just to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row with statistics and stuff like that. But as I was going through it, I said, everybody should go to this site because it's the resources that are there. You'll be able to list the signs that you may be in crisis, places to go to get help. If you've lost somebody to suicide, we have support groups all over the country. So this is sorry, Jim, to go on about that, but
no, it's very important because whether somebody's watching this episode live or they watch this 6 months from now, the words that we're sharing with levity and good conversation and viewer interaction and the music we woven in could save a life, or at least somebody maybe that might not be at that point but still is starting to go in that direction of feeling down and anxious and depressed. I've always said kindness is not a weakness, and reaching out for help when you need it are not weaknesses. Remember the times probably once in a while in school when you really wanted to raise your hand and ask the teacher that question, but you didn't raise the hand because you thought everybody was looking at you. So you didn't raise the hand, and you wish you had, so it would help you with the test at the end of the week. Raising your hand and asking the question is really a beautiful gift to yourself and an investment in yourself. And when we invest in ourselves, we're investing in everybody else, because obviously everybody wants us to be here and healthy and in good spirits. So it's a beautiful investment in yourself. So don't ever think that it's a sign of weakness. I've never been a believer in that people who are friendly and kind and nice are weaker or too Pollyanna. Never believe that. They're the ones that actually carry a lot of the weight of the world and carry a lot of the burden of everybody else. The ones who aren't so friendly and aren't so kind and don't really care and don't express empathy, the kind are the ones that carry that weight to keep the earth spinning. And sometimes, when you are that type of person that, I'm sure that you might even, maybe because you're a musician and a singer-songwriter, you're in such a, excellence demanding field. There might even be some perfectionism in there and striving. And that could lead to a lot of this, always striving to top yourself and be better and make it perfect. And that alone is something that you've probably even learned to back off yourself, right? Back off of yourself.
But oh my God, you're so on the money there. You know, like you can do 3 or 4 shows and like just the best ever, everything kind of going great. And then you have a show that I had one last week, to be honest. And it was like,
and you're still trying to work it out in your head right now.
I'm not joking. I went from one night, the place like a standing ovation at the end of the night. It was awesome. And the next night, I honestly don't know if one person clapped for the first set. It got better as the night went on, but it was like devastating. And it was like, and like all that first kind of love that I had that first night almost evaporated. But that's where the difference of the Seamus today and the Seamus before, I would have let that get to me years ago. But now I just realized it was just a night. These people probably, and here's the thing, Jim, I remember thinking, not one person listened to me. And just as I was finishing, this lady came up to me, and a much older lady, and I was just after doing some of this stuff. I was just after doing some Jimi Hendrix or something like that.
And she came up.
And she came up and said, you know, you made my night. Said, and I had finished with the Jimi Hendrix. And she said, you just said, you made my life. I was having a bit of a difficult time. And, you know, so you just don't know, you know.
See, and you thought she was going to ask you to play some Tony Bennett or something.
Yeah. I thought she was going to say, you know, you really
got any Perry Como?
I won't say why I thought she was going to say. But anyway, but like one of the things that I say, and this is a really good thought. And I say this to my children, I say this to people that I talk to, challenge your assumptions, you know.
Yes.
And we all have to have assumptions. You know, if I go across the street here, I have to assume that I know some cars travel way too fast. So I have to assume that somebody might do that. But let's say if I see somebody across the street who I know and they have their head down and they don't look up and kind of greet me the way they would normally, you know, the assumption is, well, that whatever, you know, but that's
yeah.
But there might be something going on with that person, and that's where empathy can.
You can't take it personally all the time.
No, and if you kind of just say to yourself, what's going on? What might be going on with that person? You know, and that it's not always easy to do that because sometimes somebody is just being a jerk. But like, you're much better off taking the high road and saying this person might be just going through a bad time today, and you know, let it go then, you know.
I have a friend who works in retail who always tells me stories about how sometimes, you know, he could go over and beyond for somebody like a customer, be extra friendly, extra helpful. And yet that person, once they get to the checkout line, can tell them off, or he goes out of his way to say, have a nice day. Thank you for being with us. And they're like, oh, don't bother me right now. You're wasting my time. Get away. Yeah. And would always take that personally. And he would tell me that it would ruin the rest. That one thing that lady did in that commentary blew him out the rest of the day.
Yeah.
The rest of his day was shot. His day was ruined. And I said, you know, I'm sure there's going to be somebody else that comes into the store tomorrow that's going to do it too. Don't take it personally because, you know, number one, she's there then, but she's going to get in a car and she's going to disappear. She's going to be gone. And secondly, maybe there is something going on in her world that day. Maybe she has an ill grandmother in the hospital and she's got to pick up supplies and bring them there. So there are rude people. There are arrogant people. There are people who just say stuff like that. But don't let it eat you up. Just stay true to you.
That's it. That's it. And there's, you know, this whole wonderful thing of mindfulness, and we're not going to get
big. Oh, that's a great. You'll have to come back for that. And emotional intelligence. Those are two good ones.
But one of the key things of mindfulness that has helped me a lot, and especially through COVID, is, you know, react versus respond. If something bad happens to you, you know, the reaction can be just, let's say if somebody cuts me off, right? Yeah. The reaction is, well, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you get all tight inside and you get all freaky, right? And that can last the whole day, right? So that's the reaction. That's a natural reaction.
Yes.
But
I've ever experienced that.
No. But that's the natural thing. And you're going to feel, you don't control that. But what you do control is how you respond to it. Because you can go and give the guy the finger, the lady the finger, whatever, and you can start driving like a maniac. that's not a good response.
No.
The best response is to stay where you are so you don't hurt yourself or the other
Right.
person or anybody else.
Right.
And it takes a little bit of training, but it's a great metaphor for anything. And I have trained myself. It has really helped me. You know, I had a bus tour going to Ireland last year with 60 people. It was cancelled because of COVID. So I was really angry, you know, but a respondent said, look, I'm going to do it again when things are better, you know. And then I put myself more and said, I'm going to get this book done, and I'm going to focus on the great teaching opportunity I had at Texas A&M. So, you know, that's the way I responded.
Right.
But I was still angry that
Sure.
I didn't get to take those lovely people to Ireland, but I'll do that again.
I still can't figure out the ones that cut you off and then give you the finger.
Yeah.
I'll turn around in the car and say, wait a minute, they're cutting us off and they're doing that?
And
because we just happen to be in their way.
In their lane.
You just keep going. I won't let you know that there's a cop up ahead. I might have let you know, but now I'm not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
You have another song? Oh, you switch guitars. Show us that guitar. Show us that one.
That's this is the electric.
Yeah.
So I figured
beautiful.
I know we're kind of running tight on time.
No, we're good.
I figured I'll do a little bit of blues.
Show us the guitar. What kind of guitar is that?
Sorry, this is a regular Fender Stratocaster.
Yeah.
This is the guitar that Jimi Hendrix played, and my hero Rory Gallagher. So one of the things I like to do the blues. So I looped something here before we started, so hopefully it'll play.
That came right up through my leg. That last one. I love. Can you feel that, gang? Everybody watching around the world. That yeah, groovy man, absolutely. And Jane is watching in Sweden. Hello, just across the water from Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Hello, Jim and Seamus and all the lovelies as well. Now that's some awesome music and making it sing and claps, and now that was awesome. And that's from Maureen as well, checking in, our lovely viewers. We have another clip here too that we want to share that we've dug up in the files of you doing your thing once again. This is Missing My Hometown.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Before you play that,
sure.
Would it be okay if I played it live?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. We call that, there's a word for that here on the Jim Masters Show Live. We call it double lovity.
Yeah, because it's
so do it live, and then we could always you know, in the words of Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Yeah, it's just there's something about the song that
seeing you do it right here. Yeah.
I can tell you a little bit about it. So
It's extra special that you're doing it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is about my hometown. When I came to America first, I was living in the Bronx, and it was a difficult time. I was on my own.
Yeah.
And it was. I remember one day I was just like
1975, right?
Yeah.
So straight from Galway to the Bronx.
Yeah. So and one day I was just sitting there, and I was really missing my friends. And for that first year, I'd look at my watch, and let's say it was 5 o'clock here, p.m. That'd be 10 o'clock p.m. over there, and I'd be saying, "What are my friends doing?" and all that kind of stuff. So and then one day I said to myself, I gotta stop doing that because. But I think it'd be nicer if I can do this live for you all.
Before you do that, what brought you to the States in 1975? What was the opportunity that was occurring to bring you here?
Well, two things. I was with that rock and roll band,
right,
who were, like you said, they were very good to me when I was sick. And anyway, and we went back on the road once I recovered. And so we came back. The band was about to break up. So we had a final tour of America. And I came out with the band, and then we went back. The band broke up. And when I was out here on tour, it really spoke to me. And I saw the opportunity to get a fresh start away from the depression, away from Ireland, the things that reminded me of my depression and my mental state. Yeah. So I said to my dad, I said, I think there's an opportunity for me in America. And I want to study music. So that's what I did. I came over here and I started study privately, and then eventually went to music school after a few years.
Fantastic. Yeah. Very inspiring.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. So here's the song. It's called "Missing My Hometown." My story starts back in '68, when my friends and I were young, where we played guitars in the local bars, not for pay but just for fun. I thought someday I'd make it big, and I'd leave that little town. But I never thought what it would be like if my friends were not around. I'm missing my hometown, my friends. I'm missing my hometown. It's where I was born, it's where I'm bound. I'm missing my hometown. I'm sitting here and I'm all alone in a land I do not know, and I'm trying to think of a friend to call, or a place that I could go. I wish that I were home again, so I could have some peace of mind and get to know all my friends again in the city I left behind. I'm missing my hometown, my friends. I'm missing my hometown. It's where I was born, it's where I'm bound. I'm missing my hometown. I'm missing my hometown. I'm I'm missing, oh, I'm missing my hometown.
That's a beautiful song.
Thank
That
you.
really is a beautiful song. Marty says he's hearing Chet Atkins and Mark Knopfler influences, I'm sure.
Oh my God, two of my biggest influences. So Marty got it right. He has 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That song's very, very special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for me because it just marks a kind of moment in time. It's like, I think, God's probably 40 years ago. Is it?
It's,
a long time ago.
1975. Wow. Yeah.
And it speaks to me. And that's one of the great things about writing music. You can kind of mark time. If I were to write that song today, it'd be different, obviously.
Yeah.
But like that song that I played for you earlier about the COVID thing, that's a song that was written. There's no point writing that next year because I wouldn't feel the passion that I feel right now.
Right, exactly. So we have the music video version of what you just played, and that was very special playing it live for us, Seamus. If you're just joining us, Seamus Kelleher, singer, songwriter, musician extraordinaire, guitarist, the guitar master, originally from Galway, Ireland, lives here in the United States in Pennsylvania, is our special guest with inspiring conversation and great music and some good old Irish crack and more here on the Jim Master Show Live. We hope you guys are enjoying it. We hope you get a chance to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our amazing comments or, in this case, our episodes of JMS Live and pop-up shows and more. But now we'll hear that song again in music video form, and it's really something special again. And enjoy, gang.
My name is Seamus Kelleher. This song is called I'm Missing My Hometown. It's on my first album, 4 Cups of Coffee. My story starts back in '68 when my friends and I were young, where we played guitars in the local bars, not for pay but just for fun. I thought someday I'd make it big and I'd leave that little town. But I never thought what it would be like if my friends were not around. I'm missing my hometown, my friends. I'm missing my hometown. It's where I was born, it's where I'm bound. I'm missing my hometown. I'm sitting here and I'm all alone in a land I do not know. And I'm trying to think of a friend to call or a place where I could go. I wish that I were home again, so could have some peace of mind and get to know all my friends again in the city I left behind. I'm missing my hometown. I'm missing I'm missing my hometown. Oh, I'm missing my hometown.
You know, no matter whether you're doing it live or Memorex, it's really a beautiful song. Really, really is. Are you a singer and musician who happens to be a songwriter, or a songwriter who happens to be a singer and musician? Do you have a certain love for one thing over the other, or is it all part of who Seamus is?
I think I'm a musician. I'm a guitar player who happens to be a songwriter. And then,
Because you pen some beautiful stuff.
thank you. And I think the singing then, you know, it's just a vehicle. You know, it's like there's singers. I have people I respect as singers. I don't consider myself a great singer or anything like that. But in Ireland we say I can carry a tune.
Yes.
And I can carry my songs.
Yes.
And I have to be very careful what songs I pick, otherwise I don't. It doesn't sound right. Like I think in the lines of somebody that I would like to emulate, and I mean this in the most complimentary way, is Mark Knopfler. You know, because Mark is just, he's a storyteller, and he's a great guitar player, but he's a storyteller, and he's a wonderful writer, and I love the way he sings. But you know, he's not your traditional singer. So I would like to model myself, and I think in the latter stages of my career, I very much modeled myself after Mark. He's somebody I admire tremendously. But I love the question because it makes me think about the priority. But you know, if I thought about it too long, I'd give you a different answer. But I think the visceral answer is I'm a guitar player that happens to be a songwriter, and then uses my voice as a vehicle.
And you mentioned, you know, having a family and children and all, and that's a blessing unto itself for you, isn't it, Seamus?
Oh yeah, it's like and they all play music. You know,
they do.
3 of them play piano, and then my oldest guy really surprised me by picking up the guitar last year and just like asked me for a lesson. So I started giving him a lesson. So I said, play something for me just so I can see where you're at, because I had bought him a guitar years ago, and he played this beautiful piece on guitar. And I said, why are you asking me for a lesson? You're really good. And so, but yeah, it's a blessing. And my youngest just Aiden, he got accepted to Belmont University in Nashville, where he'll be studying music. So I'm very proud of him. But they're like, my son Rory's a beautiful piano player. My daughter Nora is a beautiful piano player. And then James is the guitar player. So I'm very blessed. There's always music in the house.
Do they play together sometimes too?
Never.
You
Never.
said that fast.
Never.
So there's not going to be a Kelleher family band at all, or although you never know, right?
not anytime soon. No, they love to play, but it's just for themselves right now. Hopefully that changes.
Yeah,
that changes. Yeah.
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and obviously your influences and inspiration are grand for them. And so, you know, you've got a dual situation going on here, Seamus, which is kind of beautiful. You know, ever the musician, singer, and songwriter, providing entertainment as a performer, as an entertainer, as a brilliant, you know, singer, songwriter, musician, but with a purpose and a message as well. You know, shine the light and all these other things that you're doing that have a real deep meaning and purpose. So it's like a dual situation, double levity, a dual situation for you, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, about 2 weeks into the COVID situation, I got a call from Texas A&M. I spoke there, did a motivational talk there about 2 years ago. And this wonderful lady, Lori Wick, she asked me to do a talk for their faculty and staff who were struggling. So I did. and I did it over Zoom. I had to learn how to do Zoom and all that.
It's a whole new thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that went very well. And then the next day they called me and asked me, would I teach a class to the med students at Texas A&M College of Medicine? And I said, when would you like me to start? And they said, could you start tomorrow? Literally. And now I used to be a professor, an adjunct professor at New York University. So I knew how to put together a syllabus, but I put together a 10-day course called Mental Wellness in Times of Crisis. And basically it was a little bit what I talked about, some of the warning signs that you might be struggling and how to identify if you're getting into a situation where you need help. But then a lot of it then was things you can do to kind of get you through this pandemic, and like putting a routine in your day, making sure that you're eating properly, that you're exercising, that you're reaching out to friends, set goals that are achievable. And it really, like some common sense stuff, but sometimes common sense goes out the window when you're facing a crisis.
Yeah.
And so I focused on that, and I talked a lot about crisis intervention and helping each other. And that really went well. And they made me part of the part-time faculty last April. And I'm still doing that. And thanks to this wonderful lady, Rory Wick. And
that's fantastic.
Hopefully I'm helping the students kind of get through their, and they're going to keep the class on long after COVID. They've made it part of their electives moving forward. So I feel very honored to do that. And Jim, that got me through it, some of those dark days, because I got up. I couldn't be worried about, what am I going to do if I don't get gigs next year? What am I, I had to worry about putting together the class for the day. I had to worry about my 10 students each day, making sure they were okay. And it gave me a purpose. And there was never a day when I finished my class that I didn't feel uplifted. There was never, I can't think of one day. There were many days where I said, I don't know if I can do the class today because I was struggling myself.
Yeah.
But there was never a day, I often talk to I'm not a huge spiritual person, but and I'm reluctant to go into churches. But when I do go into a church, I never regret it. I'm always glad that I went in there because I always feel a little bit better when I walk out of there. So it's a little bit like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have another song you want to share with us?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure I can do something.
They're loving the music. They're commenting left and right here. And we thank everybody for joining us live, and give us a like on the YouTube channel there. Drop a comment there as well if you're enjoying it.
Yeah, let me do a little bit of
That's a nice. Tell us about the acoustic guitar too.
Yeah, let me see. I'm trying to position myself so you can see me. This is a Maton guitar. It's made in Australia, and this is the guitar that Tommy Emmanuel plays. And the guy I talked about from Australia.
Yes,
this is his signature up here. And it's an extraordinary guitar. It's got special microphones in it. If you can kind of, if I do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's all tricked out. And
cool.
It is. So I'll do a little bit of, there was a wonderful a gentleman who I saw at the same time I got introduced to Tommy Emmanuel, called Pete Huttlinger. And Pete Huttlinger produced that first album, 4 Cups of Coffee. And Pete had a congenital heart issue, and he had a stroke and a heart attack in his 40s. Yeah. And he got one of those exterior hearts, and he learned to play guitar all over again. Went on. He was one of the world's best guitar players. But he did another album, and he toured around, and he used to talk to people he used to give a great speech called "Don't Just Live Well." In other words, life throws stuff at you, but that's how you respond. So I was blessed to give a lecture in his honor a few years ago. And so we'll do I wrote the song for him as well. And he heard it when he was still alive. So yeah, I do this in memory of my great friend Pete.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, it's really
From Carnegie Hall and the Excelsior in Rome to the Jim Masters Show live, I tell you. And to Lovity,
Yeah.
too. I tell you, it's full circle, isn't it?
It's all full circle. Yeah.
What was it like when that was a fantastic song. Really,
Oh.
really fantastic. You are the guitar master. What are you talking about? What was it like when you took the stage at I've had the pleasure of doing that from the role of master's ceremonies for concert events there, beautiful concert holiday events at Carnegie Hall in New York. What was it like? And I know for me what it was like when they open those big white doors and you go out and you're doing your thing to a Carnegie Hall audience. It's an honor that is extraordinary. What was it like for you when you stepped out on stage at Carnegie Hall?
It was extraordinary. It's the only way to describe it. I was with a singer then called Sean Fleming from New York. And Sean is a great, great entertainer. And we had this amazing band. It was a 6-piece band. And and we were tight, we were really good at the time. And it was the day before St. Patrick's Day. It was the 16th of March. I think it was 1982. And it was just extraordinary. Like I said, it was sold out and we had a great time. And I remember at the time I was in college and I was studying acoustics, as part of one of the courses that I had to take for music school. And just the day before the concert, they were talking about the acoustics in Carnegie Hall. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about tests you could do. So the first thing when I went in to do the auditorium, I said, I'm going to go up to the balcony and I'm going to whisper and I want to see if you can hear me. And sure enough, that's what we did. So there were so many things about it, but just looking out at the audience and seeing those faces and realizing that this is, all the history that's there. So, Jim, what it's like. It's just, I'm never cavalier about it. It was just an extraordinary night, but just a little bit of last word to bring me back to reality. The next night I was playing in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. I played to 10 people. and they didn't clap. And I said to the owner, I said, why did you have me here?
I was just at Carnegie Hall last night.
I didn't even say Carnegie Hall. I said, so why did you have me here? So he said, well, my buddy is Italian. I'm Irish. So he had a band on Columbus Day. So I said I was going to have you here tonight. Thank you so much. You're awesome. And I'm like, nobody listened. Nobody clapped. And I got paid more money than I got paid in Carnegie Hall. But it was one of those moments where there was no fear of the ego getting carried away with me.
You were sort of brought back down to
real
ground,
quick,
right?
Real quick.
Yeah. You get centered and balanced once again. That is amazing when you think. But then the Excelsior in Rome, that's a cool situation.
Yeah, that was with Sean Fleming as well. And we were doing there on some kind of promotional thing. And that was just, at the time, it's the #1 hotel in the world. So everything about it was like it was a kind of real Baroque kind of building.
Oh, yeah.
So that was extraordinary. So, I've got to do some pretty cool places.
And you still are. You're still doing your thing. What are some cool things you have coming up now that things are opening up? I mean, I mentioned, at the start of the show in the 7:00 hour that 150 gigs were canceled last year, but now you're booking and appearing and some good things on the way, right?
Yeah, I think my next free date is next January sometime. I've been completely booked up for the rest of the year. So
wow, so this is cool. Yeah. You could spend time with us tonight like this, squeeze it in.
Yeah, it came back much quicker. I think you wonder if especially being older, if people are going to want to hear me again and all that. But it's been extraordinary. One of the things that I'm really excited about, I'm doing the Kansas City Irish Festival.
Which is terrific, yeah.
Labor Day. And I think we have a mutual friend, a great guy, David Shaughnessy.
Yes.
And so David asked me to do that. And I've been trying to get in there for 3 years. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I'll be doing book signings with my book as well. I'll be in Indiana the week before that. And I have, I'm all over the place. It's great, but there's every night is different, and I don't look at it like
which
to
is
me,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not about 1,000 people or 2,000 people. I'm doing a show next Sunday, and so it's a small venue, so there won't be any more than maybe 80 people there.
Yeah.
But it is like pin drop time, and it's really challenging as a singer songwriter. And
Especially if the energy, you want to feed off the energy of an audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited about that. So that's the beauty of it, Jim. It's like all the different things that you do. You know, you like everything is a little bit different. There's no two shows, there's no two venues the same.
Right.
There's ones that are similar, but the beauty about what I get to do is every night is different, and it's going to be a new experience. Sometimes a new staff, a new owner, and most importantly of all, a new audience. So that's what really kind of gets me all juiced up and excited when I walk on stage. People have never heard my music. I saw some of the comments tonight from your audience member, your love, what do you call love?
The Lovities. Yeah.
The Lovities. And it's it's so kind. And just the first time hearing me, probably looked at me and said, what's this guy gonna do? And but it's like that's what it's all about. And I get to experience that every, whatever, 150 times a year. So I'm very I cherish I never take it for granted.
No, right. I don't either, because it's all a blessing. You're getting to do continually what you love doing, right?
Yeah.
Do what you love what you do, and share it with the world,
Yeah.
which is not something that everybody gets a chance to do.
No.
And even though you've gone through a lot of different events and plateaus and ups and downs, you're still here, and you're tenacious and resilient and passionate and talented, and got this wonderful story to tell. In addition to all the fantastic music, you have this wonderful, beautiful, impactful, almost legacy building story to tell. And that's incredibly inspiring, not just to somebody who might also be a fellow artist, but anybody who's watching who thinks, oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can, I've got a little bit of a hiccup happening right now, but I'm just going to dust myself off and try to go forward. So, like I said, it's a double situation for you, which is a very special place to be. And I know you feel the joys and the blessings in your life immensely, don't you?
I do. It's, I think especially since I got sober, Jim, which is just coming up on 7 years, and
lucky 7.
Lucky 7, and it's for me it was what I needed to do, and what it has allowed me to do is focus on those gifts, because before that I think I was abusing them, whether I realized it or not, and not intentionally. I wasn't nasty, I wasn't a fall down drunk, none of that. Most people had no idea I had a problem with drink, but this past 7 years, I have such clarity, and that's not a Pollyanna.
Mm.
Oh, every day is wonderful. There's days that just, I'm going to say it, there was days that just suck, but most 99% of my days I put it like this: there hasn't been a day that I haven't been able to find some joy in. And it doesn't mean that, like I said, there's been some bad days, and especially during COVID, there were the early days I had a hard time getting out of bed. And once I got out of bed, then, I made it work. I'd have coffee with my wife, and we'd do things. We'd go for a walk in the evening. And, so my point is that sobriety has allowed me to get back in the game and to be more relevant now than I ever was. I wouldn't be doing the Kansas City Irish Festival if I was still drinking, because either I wouldn't be around, or I wouldn't have the chops to do it. I know I'm going to go out there. I know I'm going to be good. And if at the very worst, I'd give it my very best shot. And, I'll walk off stage. I'll leave everything on the table. So that's the blessing I've been given with sobriety.
Yes, absolutely. And with golden talent as well, my friend. We have a fantastic picture that I dug up in the archives here. Who is this lad?
Yeah, that was in the Jesus. That's that was probably around 1986, 87 or 88. And you can't really see the full picture there, but it was like I had the mullet of all mullets. And in that same picture, if you saw the whole thing, I'm wearing leather pants, and I
Yeah.
think I have some blonde highlights, and I used in this bar in New York. I used to run up and down the bar. It was the wireless guitar had just been invented.
Yes.
So during the Sultans of Swing, I'd run up and down the Dire Straits Sultans of Swing. I'd run up and down the bar drinking a bottle of tequila, as I'd be sliding up the bar in my leather pants. So that's a song or a story I don't share with my children too often, but it's a true story. So
It's a true story. Yeah.
And,
They mentioned this Chet Atkins influence. Tell us about this. Here's the Chet Atkins Appreciation Society.
yeah, that's a wonderful. I love this photograph because when I saw the lady that took this photograph, her name is Jan. I can't remember her last name. Anyway, she I think she captures the energy. There's a national convention each year called CAS, the Chet Atkins Appreciation Society. It's up there actually. And guitar players from all over the world converge in Nashville to celebrate the life and times of Chet Atkins. And I went to it 2 years ago, I guess 19, all the dates are kind of getting confused. 2019. And it was extraordinary. And I got to perform during one of the mornings. And it was just a great experience to be surrounded by all these amazing players.
Absolutely.
Because Chet was extraordinary. He was a musician's musician.
Yeah.
And, he was just extraordinary and kind of laid the foundation for the rest of us to follow,
Really, really influenced you greatly. Couple of the Lovities asking, do you like Les Paul?
I do. And I unfortunately can't get up from here. I have another guitar, a replica of this guitar. And the reason I'm not playing it is because it's got Les Paul's signature on it. And it was his second last show before he passed a few years ago, several years ago.
Yeah.
And here's the irony. Tommy Emmanuel was playing with them that same night. So I got to see, and Tommy and Les Paul, you shared the stage. Whenever Tommy was coming through New York on tour, he'd play with Les Paul on a Monday night. Les Paul was 95, and he used to play at the Iridium in New York every Monday night. So I was very blessed. I got him to sign my other guitar because I had written an article about him. And he signed the article and also the guitar. I loved Les Paul. He was an extraordinary guitar player.
If people want to learn more about you, what's the website, and is your music on Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, places where people can check it out, Seamus?
Yeah, I'd encourage people to just go on YouTube. They'll find all kinds of videos there. Nothing bad. Thankfully, YouTube wasn't around in the 80s. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But no, I'm joking.
The censor button would have to be.
No. I was pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
Other than my leather pants.
The leather pants.
But
slip sliding away.
Yeah. But so YouTube is always a good place. Just plug in Seamus Kelleher, and then my website is easy. It's Seamus K. So SEAMUS. There it is, SeamusK.com. And that has all my schedule, and it has all my personal information too, like my email and my phone number. So if anybody is struggling out there and they want to reach out, just go to my website, SeamusK.com, and my email address is there, and just reach out to me, and I'd be happy to talk to you and maybe put you in touch with somebody who can help you.
Again, you also mentioned, is it Suicide Prevention Alliance?
Yeah, the Suicide Prevention Alliance .org. So
.org.
The Suicide Prevention Alliance.org. And that is just full of resources. It's an amazing site. It really is. It's a portal. Like, we as an organization, we train people in suicide prevention. We do a lot of things. We do all kinds of workshops. But I think one of the great gifts that we're providing to people is a kind of stop shopping for people who are struggling.
Absolutely. Beautiful work you're doing, Seamus, and you've been doing for a long time. And we've been blessed by your presence this evening, my friend. And I hope we get a chance to get together and break bread in person. That would be spectacular. We're not too far from each other here in the Northeast. And I really appreciate not only your music, but your wit and wisdom, and sharing your personal stories and being so open about your life, and not just the musical side, which is the side that always people would be gravitating towards first. And there is obviously tremendous talent, and you're, the guitar master and so much more. But the other side, and this other part of your life that is also as much a true calling. So this was really spectacular. And I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, Seamus, and we will keep the porch light on for you. And I hope you come back and that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I certainly have with you, my friend.
Well, Jim, I was just, I meant to say this earlier. I've been listening to the podcast even prior to being booked on this, but especially since I was booked on this, to kind of listening to some of your interviews. And, you have a tremendous gift. You're a great listener, and you pick up on things that you asked me lots of questions I wouldn't have expected. And that allowed me to tell my story. And you didn't, one of the things, you didn't interrupt me, and it allowed me to keep my train of thought. And, you're doing amazing work. You cover a lot of ground. And, given the difficulty we had last year with the pandemic, some of the political strife we've had and racial stuff, this is a time when we need to have the conversations. Sometimes they're hard conversations, and you encourage that. So you are a gift to us all, and just please keep doing what you're doing. And whether you like it or not, I'm coming up to Connecticut to see you one of these days soon.
Fantastic. Yes, come up to the Northeast. We would love that, my friend. This really is amazing. We appreciate everything you're doing. Merlin in Ontario says, thank you, Seamus. It was a real pleasure. And Juanita says, amazing conversation. Thank you, Seamus, for sharing your story and life with us and your most beautiful music. Good luck with the launch of the book. And really, really beautiful. And good night from Jane, watching in Sweden. We appreciate that. And blessings to you, Seamus. Keep on shining. And Marty as well. Thank you, Marty, again for the super chat. You're amazing. That helps our show greatly. That's the super chat there. One of the songs reminded of Eric Bogle when he sang and the band played Waltzing Matilda.
That's
so
right.
Special and moving. I bet you've sang that song before, huh?
Yes. Eric Bogle is just an incredible songwriter. I love everything he's ever written.
Blessings to you, Seamus. Keep on shining, from Maureen in wonderful Arizona. And as a matter of fact, you know what? While you're here, Seamus, show you how loyal our viewers are on our show. There is Maureen, and I believe it's her grandson, Henry. And awesome. Look at those two faces there. That's awesome. And there I am on the screen on their TV. And look at Henry. Look at that. Is he a cutie or what? That's awesome. That's our lovely Maureen. And there's Henry. And there's yours truly in the back there. I feel like I'm in their living room. Thanks for sending that, Maureen. She's probably surprised we're showing it on the air, but that's a cutie. That's what you call levity. And one of the main things that this show is all about. They captured the three of us together there, Maureen and Henry. Thanks for sending that in, Maureen. That's a beautiful shot. And thank you for joining us, my friend. Would you believe we chatted for over 2 hours?
Unbelievable.
Everybody says it never feels like that.
No,
it just goes by, and you have a good conversation, and that's it. Cool stuff. Well, thank you, my friend. Somebody else was in the house too that just wanted to say a good night and thanks for all the great entertainment, and that was Mr. George Burns.
Thank you, George.
He loved it.
I'm starting to look more like George every day.
I was just about to say, is there any family resemblance? Yeah, there's
Oh, that's great. That's
You're
great.
just as dapper, just as
Just,
dapper as
yeah,
George.
yeah.
You have a good night. Thanks for all the crack and
Yeah.
great chat, great music, and a pleasure. And we'll always keep the door open for you, my friend. All right.
Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate it. And I want your audience, I want to say a special thank you. And for all the kind remarks, that just made my Monday. Trust me, made my week.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And if you're ever down, just come back. We'll lift you back up with our levity here on the show, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. You take care and you be well, and best to you and the family. Continued success with everything. Let's stay in touch, and we'll see you again soon, Seamus.
Thanks so much.
From one Seamus to the other.
Yeah. There you go.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye now. The incredible Seamus Kelleher, the guitar master, singer, and songwriter, and instrumentalist. And what a moving story about his life, too. That is part of his story. And he's so open and willing to share it. And I think it's really fantastic. And you can check out, again, his website and learn more about the mission that he is on, about, reminding people that if you need help, reach out. Kindness and asking for help, as we talked about earlier, is not a weakness. It's a strength, actually. And you asking for help when you need it is important for yourself as well as those that care about you. And it's one of the best investments that you could do for yourself. So if you need help, reach out to the family, the friends, those who are there, who truly care, and of course the professionals as well. That's why those resources are available. And thank you, Ann. I appreciate that as well. And Marty says, good crack. And Marty, thank you again for the super chat. We appreciate that. That's a new feature here on YouTube. And that helps our show as well. So we can deliver all this great content to you and all the hours we put into it and all the technology and investment we're making in the show as we're continuing to grow it. The super chat and the super emoji stickers that they have now helps us with that big time. And also subscribing to the YouTube channel and sharing the YouTube channel, telling everybody about it, inviting people to watch the Jim Masters Show live, sharing the links to these fantastic episodes. Over 400 episodes of the Jim Masters Show live are available on our YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And Marty Thompson says, I think I'm becoming addicted to the lovely Irish crack. CRAIC. Thanks, Marty. It's really cool to have you here as well. Wonderful evening. Good night, Jim, and everyone. You as well. And yes, an honest person and, of course, a great guitarist. I second that emotion. Really, really beautiful stuff. And beautiful picture. And that is, of course, we showed earlier, Maureen and Henry. And yours truly there on the screen, hosting the Jim Masters Show live there in the background. There we are. And that was a really cool shot. I'm actually in your living room on the big screen. Look at that face Henry's making. He's a cutie, huh? He's one of our newest loveties. Loveties come in all shapes and sizes, backgrounds, genders, ages, heights, weights, eye colors, all of it. Everybody that wants to be a lovety on the Jim Masters Show is welcome to be one. So there's Maureen and Henry. Hey, Henry, if Henry's watching this later, Jim Masters says, hello, Henry. It's great to have you here. We welcome you as one of our newest and probably one of our youngest loveties. Good to have you with us. And we hope you do well in school, too, and you have a great summer. The Jim Masters Show live is available 7 days a week right here for you on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. If you missed any of today's show or you would like to perhaps see it again, well, you can certainly do that because 24/7, 365, all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel for your binge watching pleasure. That's right, your binge watching pleasure. Jen Barry says she saw Seamus play in Bethlehem. She's going to go see him play again. If he plays there again, that is fantastic. Great show, Jim. Another amazing guest. Good night, everyone. You too as well, Juanita. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on the Jim Masters Show live. Tomorrow, we have from Los Angeles, California, comedic actor and more, Stephen Foster is going to be here with another special guest joining Stephen Foster. It's going to be really, really cool. And on Wednesday, we have renowned and award-winning choreographer and performer Luis Salgado. He's going to be here on Wednesday, and it's going to be really amazing. We thank once again our very special guest, the one and only Seamus Kelleher, for his time, talent, wit, and wisdom, and his artful playing here on the Jim Masters Show Live. It was a pleasure having him here. What a cool guy, right? Always something special, always something different, always something unique, always something fun here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is your host, Jim Masters, thanking you, of course, as always, for your time. This time, till next time, we love having you guys here, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Maureen says, this Nana will definitely show him this. He'll love it. Here's to Henry on the show. We love it. Thanks, Jim and Seamus. See you all lovelies later in the week. Fantastic. Good to see you as well. And Marty says, thank you again for the last few shows I've caught have been fantastic. Whew. Yeah. And if you binge watch 400 of them, I think it might take a couple of months. Thanks, Marty. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. You're a blessing in all our lives and in mine as well. Don't forget, as we always say, to smile. Don't forget to share the levity and find your Zen place. Mine is the ocean, living here in the New York area in the Northeast, along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston in the US of A. The ocean is my Zen place. Top Zen places with loving family and friends. And then, of course, I do love cycling, swimming the ocean. Yes, swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it, walking it. Can't wait to dive in it soon. And of course, my time in television and radio and stage, on camera, on air, behind the scenes over the years, that is definitely a Zen place for me. I also love tennis and music and writing and other cool things like that as well. And coming here into your life almost every day, as often as you can join us on the Jim Masters Show Live. It's a blessing to have all of you here. So we're going to wrap up. And yes, what shows? If you didn't see when we had the Pointer Sisters on the other night, it was hilarious last night. It was a hoot. We had, initially we were going to have Anita Pointer, and then Ruth Pointer was a surprise guest. We didn't know Ruth Pointer was going to join us, Anita's sister. So we had two of the Pointer Sisters on our show last night. Everybody's still talking about that episode. If you didn't see it, check it out on a YouTube channel. And also when Lisa Kelly, Irish soprano, formerly one of the founding members, formerly with Celtic Woman, she was on as well. Dee Dee O'Malley. Wow, we had so much fun with her. She's a brilliant singer, songwriter, and musician, and has got this country flavor and flair. If you didn't see that episode, there was a heck of a lot of good music on that episode with Dee Dee and special surprise guest, Mike Lusk. They're in the group Poppy Iris. And not only that, but she's written music for so many people and has worked with Patti LaBelle and Leanne Rimes and Kenny Rogers and Willie Nelson. 22 years, Mike, with Loretta Lynn. He's worked with Merle Haggard. And if you didn't see that episode, it's on our YouTube channel as well. All right, gang, we're going to duck out. I have some rice pudding waiting for us after the dinner. We had turkey tonight, believe it or not, with mashed potatoes and stuffing. I know it's kind of interesting. We're in May, we're having that, but I love that dinner every once in a while. Cranberry sauce and stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans. Yes, gravy. But we worked hard. We played a lot of tennis today, and then we, had a nice brisk walk along the coast. Beautiful day in the 70s, really gorgeous coastal breeze. It's going to warm up later in the week, they said. It's going to get into the 90s again, so it's going to be pretty soon pool dipping weather. And of course, Memorial Day weekend here in the United States, big holiday weekend, and it's going to be something. With everything open now, everything here is open, and a lot of places everything is open, amusement parks and beaches and restaurants and hotels, and we're faring very well. So it's going to be a very busy weekend. We have a very special show coming up Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, actually, with a very special guest. We're going to announce that tomorrow. So check that out. And then the rest of the weekend, we're going to be away with our family and friends for the Memorial Day weekend. It's time to take a little time to enjoy family and friends which we love doing. So we're going to do that this holiday weekend. But we will be here on Saturday at 3 o'clock for a very special music-filled show as well. All right. Yum, rice pudding. You got it. That's what we're going to have. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, gang. Check it out. Your host here, Jim Masters, saying thanks for watching. Whether you're watching us live or you're one of the many who watches us later in the archives as a re-air and a replay, we thank you as well. Good night from me, Maureen, and Henry, and all of us at the Jim Masters Show Live. We'll see you again soon. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, with comedic actor and more, and a special surprise guest joining him, Stephen Foster. Good night.